My greeting to just about everybody these days is a Latin phrase that I learned a long time ago. Resurrexit sicut dixit, as he said. And I'm not talking about Jesus, I'm talking about me. Many of you know I went on vacation right after Easter. I was gone only for 2 weeks. Everybody thinks I took a month off. I didn't. I came back, and the day I came back, I was diagnosed with a severe case of COVID and have been recovering ever since. So it's taken about 2 weeks for me to get back. So if I collapse in the middle of things, you know what's going on. Just, go on without me. It's fine. But today, maybe I could identify with the man in this gospel looking to be healed and not able to get there. The man was stuck. The problem was that this man was stuck for 38 years. Long time to be stuck. Most of us thinking about getting stuck, we think about going off the road and spinning our wheels in some mud or on some ice or snow or something like that. We've all been there. And just the moments of that can seem like an eternity. And most of us have the capacity to call someone, particularly in these days with cell phones and so on. And so we can call the AAA. At least that's what I do when these things happen. And sometimes it can seem like it's 38 years before we get there, but they do come. But this man was frustrated. We have all experienced that as well. When we can see the possibility of a better life, something better for us or for those whom we love, and it's within our grasp, but there are obstacles in our way. And while they may seem to be very big obstacles, we can overcome them until someone else comes along. We've all had that experience too. Some of you know that I visit casinos once in a while. And I think it's an interesting study to watch people play the slot machine. They'll push that button and push that button and feed more money into the machine and push that button until suddenly they either run out of money and they have to leave the machine, or perhaps they have to go to the bathroom or get something to eat or make a phone call or something. They'll leave the machine somewhere else, and then within 2 spins, there's a jackpot. That person who left the machine usually gets quite angry when that happens, because you see, that was my money. That was my opportunity. And I missed it. And you took it from me. The person who came after did nothing of the sort. Didn't take anything from him. But maybe it's that sense of frustration, too, that this man would be feeling. Perhaps this man was feeling that frustration as he cried out to Jesus when Jesus confronted him. He said, I've been trying to do it, but everybody gets in front of me. Young generations today have a phrase, FOMO. I don't know if you're familiar with that, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out. And so they're always constantly focused on something because they are afraid they may miss something along the way. It's not unique to this generation, that phrase for it. We do the same thing. That's, I think, a mark of human nature in so many ways. That we see something and that could be mine. I could be there, saved for whatever reason. And so we structure our lives around that of missing out. Fear. That comes down to that. It comes down to that basic human emotion. Fear. Fear of missing out. Fear of not getting what we need. Fear of not having what we think is rightly ours. That's particularly endemic in our society, in our culture today, when everything is held up as a goal for us. We're all supposed to attain this goal. And we begin to see other people get in line in front of us. And we begin to resent it. We get angry about it. Think of this man lame for 38, sitting day after day after day, begging in the temple gates, the temple portico, to the pool of Bethsaida, seeking healing. And he crawls to this pool and wants to roll himself into it. And someone else gets in ahead of him. And the waters are no longer stirred up. The healing power seems to be gone. And he retreats against the pillar and waits yet for another time. How many times have we been in that situation? How many times have we ourselves seen something and we see it as a great good and we want to get there, but somehow there are obstacles in front of us. And as we even try to get there, someone else gets in line. Someone else takes our place. And we grow in our resentment, in our frustration, and perhaps even in our anger. And all of that because we fear. We fear that we will miss out. But you see, Jesus does something here. He says to the man, in essence, there is another way. The way that you think you will obtain healing is not the only way. So all I want you to do is stop doing that. Stop trying to move yourself to that pool. Stop being resentful. Stop being angry about others who get in line ahead of you. And I'm telling you, pick up your mat. Walk. If I was that man, I would look at Jesus and say, are you nuts? I've been here for 38 years. You think I haven't tried? See, with Jesus, it's different. With Jesus, Jesus is capable of opening our eyes to possibilities that we might never have seen on our own. Jesus is capable of opening our hearts to ways of thinking and feeling that perhaps we have never experienced on our own. With Jesus, we can find a new way. How precious a gift that is, not only for our own healing, whether of our bodies or our minds or our hearts, but for our world. Look around you. Look at all of the negativity and all of the difficulty that we seem to be facing. And realize that with Jesus, it can be different. With the way of love that Jesus points out for us and leads us to and asks us to follow, we can change the world. We don't need any longer to be afraid. We no longer fear of missing out because we have the greatest prize that can be given to us. Life itself. And the most important thing in that life, which is love. But love is not only to be received. Wherein is the difference? That's in the lesson today. She heard the gospel. She was a woman of means. We don't really understand this, but all that easily, but she was a dealer in purple cloth. Purple dye was extraordinarily expensive. So for her to be able to be a merchant in that sort of thing meant she had some money. So it wasn't like she needed anything in this world. She came to realize that she needed more. She needed that prize which only the gospel of Christ can give. That attitude of gratitude, that vision of life, which is love. And that made all the difference. She took what she had and then put it at the disposal of those who would preach the same gospel to others. so too must it be with us. That if we find healing, if we find wholeness, if we find a new way of seeing our lives and the world around us, it isn't only for our own benefit. It's so that we can share that with one another and support one another in this community we call church. It is so that we as church, as a community of faith, as brothers and sisters, out into the world and say, there is a new way. Take up your mat.